YouTube and welcome in. I am Deo, your local police cat, and today we are watching How to Love an Animal to Death by the casual Geographics. Please enjoy, okay? And give your pet a big hot pat from me, okay? And say pss, 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 pss to your cat, okay? So please enjoy.
This is the exact moment right before a sea lion grabbed and dragged a little girl off a fisherman's wharf off British Columbia. Thankfully, she was immediately rescued and mostly unharmed, but given a small parting gift of a small superficial bite wound and a trip to the hospital to be treated for seal finger, which surely wasn't fun. This situation turned out a lot better than it could have been, but it's only a symptom of a much larger problem. This is the skull of a polar bear, the largest land predator on Earth, and an instant health bar above your head when you see one. This is the skull of the mercifully extinct short-faced bear, and this is the skull of a spotted.
Well, I'm too big. I'm gonna be shorter. I'm so sorry, everybody. There you go.
Hyena, a predatory laugh track with jaws that can chew through an elephant's leg. Nobody with people that actually care about them would ever walk willingly into the strike range of one of these animals. The problem is I lied. That is not a bear. That is the internal headpiece of a stellar sea lion. Here's a quick video for the uninitiated. No respectable parent would ever allow their child anywhere near these wild predators. Yet there's an asinine number that'll not just walk up to these, they'll seemingly offer their children to a predator in a way that should put you in a PDF doc. Asinine.
I mean, they're cute. They're cute.
Asa 10, that's Asa 20. Even in this video, the sea lion literally lunges within inches of the little girl. Yet no one gains a sense of urgency until it triggers an Amber Alert. Moral of the story, treat sea lions the way you would a grizzly bear, because if you look at the skull, they're already halfway there. Sea lions got their name for one main reason. But you see, sea lions be lying and actually lie on the dog side of Order Carnivora, right there next to the bears of Ursidae and the weasel crashouts mustelids. Beach bears.
Wait, so technically speaking, they are not a sea lion, they are sea doggos. So low-key, it made me more happy. A sea puppy, I like it.
That decided to do the land thing part-time. Think of that every time someone calls one a sea puppy. They give bear in the face and bear in the waist, and I'm talking about their diet. Don't think they
I feel called out. I feel called out right now. What the hell was that?
On a sea puppy. They give bear in the face and bear in the thing to the bears of Ursidae and the weasel crashouts mustelids. Beach bears that decided to do the land thing part-time. Think of that every time someone calls one a sea puppy. They give bear in the face and bear in the waist, and I'm talking about their diet. Don't think they only eat fish. They'll straight up run down penguins. They'll unscrew the heads off of seagulls like bottle caps. I've seen them do it. They'll rip the throats out of sharks and eat them. Don't think that relationship is one-sided. There's whatever disrespect is this picture, and they'll even resort to flipper friendly fire, as South American sea lions have mauled and eaten baby elephant seals. And some adult elephant seals will stalk and eat baby sea lions. And there's even seals that will eat other seals. And the same way you have land bears pulling up for a piece of our garbage, in some places like Chile, you have sea lions spawning at fish markets for free eats. And if you live here, a panhandling pinniped is as common to you as a deer, fox, or raccoon. But this can also lead to turf wars between the city slicking sea lions and packs of stray dogs already living there. Y'all call them sea dogs. Maybe y'all need to see them next to dogs to realize Gulf grizzlies are not a joke. Nobody realizes how big sea lions are until it's time to realize how big sea lions are. Stellar sea lions are furry flippered boulders that can get to 9 feet and over 2,000 pounds of pinniped. But even the more common California sea lion can humble you at over 800 pounds of blubber. Now, this isn't to demonize them. They are wild carnivores that actually don't have a reputation for being super aggressive. Unless you run into a hallucinating sea lion. That nightmare situation is the work of toxic algae blooms. The red tide, aka the Pacific's period. You know, jokes like that are the reason my audience is only 20% female. The problem is the toxic algae is eaten by small fish, and the small fish are then eaten by sea lions, meaning the sea bears bioaccumulate a neurotoxin that can lead to domoic acid toxicosis, which essentially turns them into zombies. Poisoned sea lions can suffer seizures and severe lethargy, but can also become wildly, almost rabidly aggressive. Girl, if you don't stand up. One man was surfing when an intoxicated sea lion jumped him.
Oh, that's a human! I was thinking, what is this animal? That's a human. I thought it was some kind of bird. I thought it was, I don't know, a fly
dragged him off his board. From the way he would describe the attack, you'd swear the sea lion was possessed by a demon. Sea lion almost had him lying under the sea permanently. Now, this isn't to make you hate or fear sea lion. Well, actually, yeah, it is a little. Yeah, healthy fear, you know? Because this video proves two things. One, as a society, we are not afraid of sea lions enough. And two, I gotta re-examine my personal biases. I've known about this video for years. And for years, I assumed it took place somewhere in South America, like Uruguay. Shout out to Uruguay. This was in San Diego. La Jolla, actually. I know that because I went to San Diego, I went to La Jolla, and y'all do not take sea lions seriously over there. Which proves the third thing. We as a society are not nearly afraid enough of seal finger. And if you're wondering, seal finger is what happens when a sea lion that eats fish for a living without seeing floss or lying on a dentist chair bites you. Just an incredibly painful bacterial infection.
That looks so painful. I hope that woman still has all of her fingers. Holy. But no, okay, hear me out. I don't think that's even a hear me out or anything like that. But it's literally like you shouldn't be feeding animals who have the claws, you know, in their mouth. You shouldn't be feeding animals who have teeth that could... Okay, windows. You shouldn't be feeding animals who can literally penetrate your bones with their teeth. With your bare hand. Literally. Sometimes dogs can bite you accidentally when you feed them from the hand. Yeah, because you're not supposed to, like, no, even if you have dog, you're not supposed to feed dogs or cats by holding food in your fingers, because they're gonna fucking bite you. I think most dogs are usually more gentle, but I wouldn't dare to feed my own cats this way. Because I know my cats would bite me. Because they are feral when it comes to any kind of food. They just go crazy. Imagine using common sense. Yeah, I also think that's not a hear me out. That's literally a common sense. If you know there's a wild animal that you never saw that is not your pet, you shouldn't be feeding it with your hand, in my opinion. Like, that's a stupidity, in my opinion, literally. And if you're feeding some pet or something, you shouldn't be holding food in your fingers. I feel like that's something we've been learning when we were kids, right? Or maybe just here, but yeah, that's something we've been learning when we were kiddos.
That can escalate to an amputation, and a hand that appears to be inflated. The chances you catch the seal version of the cheese touch are low, but everyone here is effing around on the doorstep of finding out, like this girl almost did. You never want to get got, but if you do, the incubation period of only a few days means you best get treatment soon. Waiting too long can be the difference between a cool scar with a story to tell and being a finger short on a handshake. I wouldn't know, I've never been mauled by a sea lion. I did get bitten by a squirrel as a kid though. To be fair, it was not the squirrel's fault. Either way, you can probably relate to putting off doctor's appointments longer than you should, and I would know. These dunks came at a price, and it's that I've seen the inside of more physical therapy clinics than gyms. Somehow I'm still not done. The longer I live, the more I understand this man right here. That's why it's pretty cool to have ZocDoc sponsoring this video. ZocDoc's a free website that lets you search and compare in-network doctors, read actual human patient reviews, and see actual up-to-date appointments, basically making that small but very annoying aspect of being an adult easier. I do appreciate that you could book online without having to run the gauntlet of phone tag, because that was taking years off my life. They also have 150,000 providers across hundreds of different specialties.
Did you know, guys, that we had something like this in Poland? We do still have it, right? It's called Znany Lekarz, known doctor, something like this. It's a free website, but there's one big issue with that website, and that is doctors literally buy themselves for really cheap price reviews there. And there's so many doctors who are open about it as well. They are literally open public that they buy themselves reviews so they can be higher, so they can get more people. This is what it is. This is what it is. I love it.
Like calves. Now, with a deadbeat body part, cows pop one out in 9 months. I can't heal mine after 1 year. That's a load of cow. Also, you can usually find appointments within 24 to 72 hours. Sometimes even same day, which again, really wish I had that a couple years ago. Probably wouldn't have walked around with a torn ACL for 2 years. I'm not exactly happy about having to constantly book appointments, but the only way through it is to do it, and ZocDoc does go a long way in making the most tedious part of making appointments easier. And if you'd also like to lower your mental barrier of entry, you can hit the link in the description or go to ZocDoc.com/casualgeographic. Shout out to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video and for making taking care of your health that much easier. There is an even easier way though, because not doing this would have cost you absolutely nothing. Instead, you're negotiating custody with a wild carnivore. Now, mentioning their size, eyes, and predatory pastimes wasn't to make you hate them. But if you ignore that, you might be one of those people guilty of loving them to death. There are no absolutes in nature. Calling a wild apex predator a sea puppy can be just as damaging as dropping jaws on them. And I don't think there's a single predator that gets sea puppied more than an animal literally named lion. I don't think people realize how terrifying it is to get jumped by a mob of sea lions, especially in the water. But the problem isn't the sea lions, it's the people. Like I said, I just went to La Jolla in San Diego. I could not believe the lack of respect for a predator. People senselessly swarming them, completely crowding them, and even just barely being run over by them. Pause it. If an animal with sea in its name charges you, I do not think retreating into the water is the best use of your mental faculties. This was an insane image. One, because I do not think these people realize they are within striking range of an animal that could literally drown them. But more importantly, two, this is only gonna get sea lions killed. San Diego has arguably the best weather in America, with beaches that rank pretty high up too. It's the perfect nursery for hauled out sea lions, who have their pupping season from mid-May through October, with many pups being born in June. One mother recently went viral for birthing twins, which is incredibly, never seen before in the wild, rare. The problem is that pupping season also coincides with the peak of tourist seasons, and it's usually tourists that you'll see harassing locals. And this has had devastating consequences. Just this year, out of the 20 sea lion pups born at La Jolla Cove, 9 have already died, with many showing signs of starvation due to abandonment. When people crowd a mother sea lion for pictures, it doesn't just cause unnecessary stress to an animal that should be at rest. It can force the mother into a decision: either stay in a stressful, potentially life-threatening situation, or bail on her baby. It sounds messed up, but in an evolutionary sense, you can always make another baby. Now, should you die, your baby go, and so does your baby-making career. It's why marsupials like kangaroos and quokkas will straight up eject their offspring as a last resort. The problem is that last resort often leads to sea lion pups starving to death for a picture you could have just taken from further away with a zoom. Like what are we doing? Now, we can't pin all the deaths on people, but at a nearby cove, out of the 25 pups born, so far only 2 have died. So if it was outside factors, you'd expect most, if not all, the pups to be in past tense. But for some reason, one beach has way more infant flatlines than the other, and the only difference is La Jolla Cove is open to people. The tragic irony is, it's probably the people that adore them the most, the animal lovers that just can't help themselves from getting close, that are getting the sea lions buried. Basically, seals and sea lions are being loved to death, and it's not just a problem in San Diego. Alright, let's talk about Neil the seal.
But I'm so sorry. I feel like, feeding wild animals, for example, if you know you can do it, you should do it, okay? And I'm saying if you know you can, because there's a lot of wild animals that we shouldn't be feeding, for example. And also, quite a lot of the times, we shouldn't be feeding normal human food to wild animals either, right? That is, once again, common sense, right? Honestly speaking, if you're going to just, annoy animal with taking picture around it, that's just fucking disgusting. It's not about, bro, you cannot convince me that anybody who loves animals would just go and do it. You cannot love animal and then actively decide that taking a picture is more important to you than the well-being of the animal. I feel like those people are either just uneducated and they don't know that they shouldn't be doing it, which I could kind of believe in. Are they just stupid? Because if they know that they shouldn't be doing this kind of shit and they still went to the seals to take the pictures and annoy them, then you cannot call them animal lovers. You just cannot. It's annoying. You just cannot do it this way. If you are an animal lover, you wouldn't be pissing them off. You would just go to your local shelter, probably walk the dogs, spend time with the cats, volunteer in the local animal shelter as well. You can do it. I used to do it, and that's really amazing experience. As long as you're not in charge of some difficult animals. That's what I can say from my experience. But yeah, if you really love animals, don't fucking annoy them. Just go and help them, basically. Oh, it's annoying to hear this kind of a shit.
I am very scared for Neil. Neil is a southern elephant seal whose mother had a problem. In 2020, she was inexperienced and very pregnant, Instead of giving birth on Macquarie Island like up to 20,000 other mother elephant seals, she got lost, possibly in a bad storm, and ended up nearly 1,000 miles off course and had Neil in Salem Bay in Tasmania. In a matter of time and mother's milk, Neil grew up fast and quickly went viral for his blatant disregard for human infrastructure.
Yes!
Neil was a flesh torpedo-shaped disrespect to his surroundings, whether it was by galumphing into oncoming traffic or asserting his dominance on a traffic cone. Neil was an ungovernable menace to society that everyone loved. He was basically on a first-name basis with an entire town. That's how Tasmania became the only place where a legitimate excuse to miss work was a 1,300-pound Neil sleeping in front of your car. Neil blew up, in weight, but in clout too, flexing a fan page almost 3 times the population of Tasmania.
Yeah.
Neil had messed around and become a national treasure in a place he wasn't supposed to be in, and that would be a problem, one that would come down to the very nature of elephant seals. Southern elephant seals, like many pinnipeds, have strong sight fidelity. Like turtles, they show up to the same beach year after year, so even though they spend up to 10 months at sea, where they'll haul out on land is always a guarantee. But with Neil born in Tasmania, instead of an island like Macquarie, his instinctual GPS would always bring him closer to people than seals. Even if they tried relocating several tons of testosterone, eventually he'd just spawn back in like a homing pigeon. Which leads to the second problem. Southern elephant seals aren't just the biggest seals, they're by far the tankiest carnivorans. The stellar sea lions from before can weigh 2,500 pounds. The walruses can peak at 4,000.
What a chunky boys. In a good sense, what a chunky boy.
Peak elephant seal can break the scales at nearly 9,000 pounds. Males use that bulk to get into violently bloody sledgehammer matches for females, which makes Neil's Neilness make sense. Neil is only a fraction of his final form, and he's only going to get bigger. For now, Neil's gone back to the sea, but eventually, he'll come back as a Beachmaster level bull, and with him, so will the chances someone's human curiosity gets them turned into a chalk outline. And in a story you've heard before, the moment it happens, Neil will be a dead seal. To be fair, Tasmanian officials insist that euthanasia is not the move, and there have even been petitions signed against it. But the more people willfully come into contact with Neil, the higher the chances someone ends up loving Neil to death. It wouldn't be the first time. We've played these games before, and it ended with an execution. Meet Freya. Freya was another anomaly. Instead of living in the Arctic Circle with her own kind, somehow the walrus had ended up hundreds of miles away, seen frequenting the coasts of Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands as early as 2019. There's no way to tell how a walrus wound up there. Some say climate change. But also, walruses have the habit of waking up in the weirdest places. Either way, Freya became a staple, and by 2021, she was named after the Norse goddess of love and beauty. By summer 2022, she arrived in Oslo Fjord, Norway, where her habit of sunbathing on and sometimes sinking boats made her as famous as a walrus could be. It was like Norway had their own Selkie, and
do you think you can insurance your boat for this one specific seal? Just in case, you know? Insurance your boat, just in case this seal would get on top of it and sink it. Do you think you can do it? Not now, because we already know what happened, right? To the seal. But do you think you could do it? Imagine that then you got this insurance, right? And then it actually happens. Do you call it a win or a lose? A win because it feels like you won a bet against like world, or a lose because you lost your boat at the end of the day.
Miss Freya easily became a national celebrity. With all the attention, people started coming in from all over to see Freya, often getting close enough to audition for a Darwin Award. Reminder that walruses are tusked blubber-backed units that can make polar bears pump fake. And Freya herself weighed about as much as a Cape buffalo. That didn't stop people from getting within tusk range, and Freya didn't make it any easier, as she'd gotten comfortable enough with people to start actively approaching them. Walruses are hyper-intelligent and highly social, and instead of being part of a herd hundreds of thousands strong, Freya was left to seek out humans. Seeing where this could go, the Norwegian Directorate of Fisheries issued out several warnings, but of course, we wouldn't be talking about it if they'd listened. It didn't get better, in fact, somehow it got worse. People would continue swarming Freya, would get into the water to swim with Freya, and at one point, some started pelting stuff at Freya. Even after Freya started laughing.
Oh my. Okay, like, I can kinda imagine the people who were at the land and she was, you know, in the water. Maybe not so close. But like, imagine her here, humans over there, for example. I could kinda understand it, okay? Like, it still looks a bit dangerous. But they could kinda understand it, right? But swimming with her? Yeah, that should go for the Darwin Award. That should go for it, because what the hell do you mean? Oh my god.
Lashing out and even chased a woman into the water. Obviously, nobody listened. To make it worse, relocation wasn't really an option, mainly because the process of tranquilizing a 600-kilogram animal would legitimately risk drowning her. Freya had become the unmovable object to the growing public's unstoppable force. The situation was untenable, and it was only a matter of time before someone's lack of preservation got them killed. Walruses aren't known to be aggressive, but their size has made them hazards by nature, with one incident in 2016 where a selfie-taking tourist was drowned by one. On August 12, 2022, the Directorate issued its final warning, pleading with the public. And on the night of the 13th, 4 government officials patrolled the marina with a rifle, and come sunrise, Freya wasn't around to see it. Freya never hurt anybody, she never did anything wrong, but because people couldn't just let her live, they ultimately sacrificed her right to. Freya had been loved to death, and the worst thing she ever did was trust people. Because like I always say, the worst thing an animal can do is lose its fear of humans. One seal lost its entire existence because—
I am so highly sorry, but now I believe that is something that all of the people who are fucking taking the pictures swimming with her in the sea should see, you know? Oh my god, I hope these humans feel bad. If they literally just left her alone, it would not be an issue. Literally. That is heartbreaking. Oh.
Because of it. The last Caribbean monk seal was seen in 1952. Before that, they existed in populations as large as 300,000. So what happened? Well, when Columbus and friends touched down on the island of Alto Velo, they were met with a horde of seals that showed zero fear towards them. They immediately butchered 8 on sight, starting a disturbing trend of hunters using the seal's nature against it. The Caribbean monk seal's tragic lack of a flight response meant poachers could just walk right up to them and take their lives with no effort. The seal's docile nature got abused, and they were seemingly wiped out before conservation could even get the chance. Which brings us back to San Diego, where they're somehow recycling the same script of getting way too close to a wild predator. But as an outsider from the opposite coast, there was some lore I was not aware of. In 1931, philanthropist Ellen Browning Scripps sought to create a small sheltered beach where children could play and swim in the waves while safe from the infamous Pacific rip currents. The issue started when the children's pool of La Jolla became a sanctuary, not for kids, but for resting harbor seals who started having pups there. By 2009, there were 200-something seals, and San Diego started closing down the beaches temporarily during their pupping season. That pissed a lot of people off. The beach was made for kids. People had grown up playing on that beach, and to be fair, they were there first. It was their right. That was the kind of stuff people were saying. Along with lobbying for the city council to remove the seals. Just for the record, the children's pool is down in South La Jolla. That's the one harboring seals. La Jolla Cove, the one from this video, that's the one with the sea lions. 2 different areas that people will mix up while double dipping the same argument. Either way, it's led to a complicated conflict between a city and its sea lions. On paper, the Marine Mammal Protection Act gives sea lions and the like diplomatic immunity, making it illegal to move, malice, or otherwise molest the mammals. The catch is, local park rangers can't enforce a federal protection act. They technically can fine people for the following, but a lot of park rangers are strongly encouraged not to. The most they can do is yell at adult toddlers. Also, there are signs, but signs are as useful as a bicycle to a fish when 20% of the population is illiterate, and even more pretend to be. So La Jolla clearly has a crowd control problem, and a tourist going tourist, but the California Coastal Act means San Diego is legally required to keep all public beaches open. The locals can be just as difficult, as it's many of the long-time residents, especially those in the swim club, that have pushed for the city to remove the sea lions. Probably because living in La Jolla long enough guarantees that you've been mobbed by a pride of sea lions at least once. That and the smell. To be fair, as someone who's been to La Jolla, you smell the cove 10 minutes before you get to the cove. I don't know if it was the pelicans or the sea lions, but it's definitely the kind of smell you taste in your eyes. It's so offensive that the city revealed plans to spray an odor abatement on the cliffs to reduce the smell. Yeah, they want to deodorize nature. I hope that sounds as ridiculous as it felt to say. And while no one will argue that it smells like a pelican porta potty, many have argued the possible implications for the animals. So you see how it's a bunch of bureaucratic bullshit and infectious entitlement with sea lions being caught in the middle. But don't get it twisted, sea lions do have an ally, and there are plenty of locals that have made it their mission to safeguard the seals. One of them helped me with this video, and shout out to Mermaid Morgan.lahoya for giving me insight that I just would not have had as an outsider. Thanks to her, I was even able to sit in on a coastal commission meeting where I got to see everyday people advocating and giving their voice for those that don't have one. I also found that budget cuts eliminated 52 positions from the Parks and Recreations Department, including rangers. So people do care, it's just that they're not getting the support. So what can you watching this, hello, hi, what can you do? Well,
not touch the seals. That's what I can do. That's what I can do. Not go outside. Not touching the seals. That's what I can do. I cannot go outside. No, but really, oh my god. I'm mad at humans. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I feel like sometimes humans are just being too touchy with everything. And they just wait for, you know, like the first catastrophe to happen, basically.
Sierra Club, this isn't sponsored by the way, but the Sierra Club of San Diego is the largest grassroots environmental activist group in the country, and a big part of their MO is protecting the sea lions. I'm going to be donating to them, link in the description if you'd like to as well. You can also use their link to contact higher ups in San Diego to further apply pressure. And if you're a local, bring back public shaming. If you see someone next to a sea lion, you 100% have my blessing to be annoying about it. And if you can't do that, snitch. I'm serious. There's numbers you can call, and sea lions don't have phones. It's not just for the sea lions. It's for Freya, for...
Listen. Snitching is a civilian obligation, okay? Yes, that is a Polish saying. But snitching is a civilian obligation, okay? Okay.
Neil, and for the seals, we aren't getting back. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. YouTube usually doesn't like when I make these kind of videos, so if this video can get to 160,000 likes, I'll post the real reason I went to San Diego. Yeah, foreshadowing. But other than that, drink water, hug your mother, touch grass, hug your father. Remember, your camera has a zoom on it. You're allowed to use it. And I'm a seal. See y'all in the next one.
See lol. Oh, look at you! That's sweet. I don't know how humans can be so fucking shitty to them, honestly. Do you think humans just see how cute and adorable they are and they are forgetting that it is the wild animal and that they shouldn't be coming close to them and that, well, they shouldn't be doing them any harm? Even if, you know, they didn't intend it? Do you think so? Do you think so? Now look up sea lion videos! Not this time, not this time. No, not this time, not this time. But thank you guys for watching this one with me. First, I lost hope in humanity watching this video, and then I got it back. But yeah, still, I hope more humans will stay educated about, you know, how their actions can affect the wildlife. Okay, but that's for now. Thank you for watching this one with me. Okay.